Let me give you a little clue about the stator and the flywheel right here. The inside of the flywheel is a giant magnet. In the DO, they're little plates. They're extremely pain in the ass to put on because we have to get that. Let's see if I can get a better reflection on it. This little groove right there has got to fit right over this, and there is a Woodruff key that fits in here. The problem is when you go to put it on, the magnet wants to pull this, I don't know, it must weigh 5 or 6 pounds or 3 kilos, but it wants to pull the flywheel back and forth, and you have to get it right on. Because you can imagine we have a round inner area and we have a round crankshaft. It has to spin on this crankshaft, and that's what the Woodruff key, it holds it solid. Now the Woodruff key also is used for a guidance. The key is right here, okay? If you look right across the way, correspondingly is a little tiny triangle. That triangle, when that triangle and that white area right there with the Woodruff key line up, that means that your piston is at top dead center over here. Now why is that important? Because we have to line up the crankshaft to be absolutely in sync with the camshaft, or else your valves will not work when they're supposed to work on that. Now when I took this off, I wanted to look at it because it wasn't starting very well. Electric start wasn't working very well, and I wanted to see if there was any damage in here. There's no damage. There's a little bit of rust. That's no problem. What you do not want in here is a film of oil, and that's what happens with a busted oil seal. You'll get an oil seal right here that is leaking, and it does happen after a while. Generally when they leak, it's because that your crankshaft is out of round, or it's got excessive runout. Runout means it's wobbly. Okay, it's supposed to be have zero runout. It's supposed to be absolutely perfectly concentric round. If it's wobbly, what it does, even a little bit after all the driving, it tends to make this part wider and wider, and you'll leak oil. The oil leaks down into the stator right here and gets on these steel pieces here. It also gets on the magnet. Now you can have a little bit of oil on the stator right here and the flywheel. That's not a problem. But if you have, and I ran across this, I'm running it at top speed on my Dio, okay? I'm flat out rolling at 75 miles an hour and the engine starts to cut out. And I'm thinking, well, why is it cutting out? I checked everything. Then what I did was I looked down at the bottom of the alternator case, and there was oil coming out here and dripping. Very little bit, but it was still dripping. There should be no oil around in here. None. Your flywheel and your stator should have no oil. What I like to do, and which I'm going to do, I will take this inside and take some 2000 grit sandpaper and just slowly take the rust off of here if there's any there. Then what I will do is I will take a very light coat of fine oil, maybe WD-40, and I'll just put a little tiny bit on there to keep the rust off if there's any water problems. I'll do the same with this. Your only problem, you have to remember, if you sand this is a big magnet. Any little metal filings or anything will stick on here because that's what it does. It sticks to metal. So you want to make sure you get all your little sanding metal fibers out of there. And this too. You have to be very careful with the stator. If you break any one of these coils, or anything like that, unless you're a master electrician or a Honda technician, you're going to pay a fortune for a new one, and if this doesn't work, you're screwed because your bike doesn't work. So be very careful with these coils and everything else. Okay.